Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, friends. Okay, let's get over into Instagram and launch our Instagram live stream. How's everyone doing?
Today we're streaming on three platforms: YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And I am here monitoring comments on Instagram. Today is a very interesting discussion.
Okay, let's see. I think we're live on Instagram.
And as I mentioned before, it is a discussion. So be sure to drop your stories, share your opinion and your solutions as well.
Yes. Okay. I think we're good to go. You would know because you should be getting people joining.
Yes.
Awesome beans. Awesome. Welcome, guys. Again, welcome from all three platforms: Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Today we have an exciting topic. Well, I guess it's a topic that we really don't think about until we're actually in it, right? Okay, so in today's topic, we're talking about basically your travel woes, right? Things that stresses you when you're on vacation. So we definitely would like to know, what are your stresses when you travel? We have a few. When we kick things off, we're gonna kind of have a few so you can get an idea of really what we're talking about. Because again, I don't think a lot of people think about it until they're actually in it. Yes, exactly. Okay. When you guys, hello, Andrea, how are you? Nice to see you. Thank you for joining.
Let's do a quick audio and
video check. Yes, that's important.
You can hear us well and you can see us well.
If you can hear us live and see us on Instagram, let us know, and also on Facebook and here on YouTube. Okay. Well, first off, I want to lead things off by saying, before we even get into today's topic, is I want to thank everybody for wishing me a happy birthday. I had a lot of you guys on Instagram, on Facebook, and even here on YouTube that wished me a very happy birthday. And I'm thankful and I'm grateful for you all. Thank you so, so much. I wanted to do a personal post, but because it was on all these different platforms, when you have so much to do and you end up not doing anything. So I figure I'll come on here and I'll address it. And thank you guys so much. Andrea says video is good, audio is good here. So we're good here. What about on Instagram? Did anyone reply?
No.
But we are good, right? People are joining. Okay. Because Facebook is giving me a reminder saying that now is when the live should be on. So I don't know. But we're good here anyway. Deborah, welcome.
Good to see you.
Yes, absolutely. I love how we have our core audience and they all come in at the same time. So I think this time during our live stream is a really good time. I think people are already wound down from their day, getting ready to start the weekend. Also, on our YouTube community, we asked if you guys have ever taken any of our recommendations from videos on our YouTube channel and actually booked any one of the resorts that we recommended.
Or hotels.
Yes, or hotels, because we're putting together a media kit and we're pitching it to certain brands, and we would like to attach some of your personal recommendations and your experiences when you visited some of the places that we spoke about. And
we have actually received a lot of different comments, but they're all over the place, and sometimes it's Instagram messages, sometimes it's comments, and it's very hard to gather and put together all of them together. So if you would be kind to head over to our YouTube community, and the very top post, you can comment your I guess testimonial there. We would really appreciate it.
Yes. Okay. So I'm just going to add this, scroll across. So I'm just going to add this ticker down at the bottom. So again, if you guys are joining in, welcome. And today's topic is, what stresses you out when you go on vacation? What are the things that just drives you crazy that you wish did not exist to make your vacation that much better, or that you didn't experience on your vacation, or you didn't know was a thing until you were on this vacation and you're like, oh man, this like totally is killing the vacation vibe?
And of course, we're all about the solutions. So
Yes, that's the best part.
it's always good to think, okay, what is the problem and what would possibly be solution at least for you?
Yes. So we did create the solution to most of the problems that we're going to list. And you guys let us know, are we in the ballpark, or is it, is it not something that you would normally do? But again, just leave your comment below. Let us know what are the problems and stresses, things that stress you out when you go on vacation. And then we'll bounce back in to the comments, and then we'll go over it and discuss some of your personal stresses that you go to. I already see West Coast already stated something that stresses them out. So we're going to go back in and we're going to speak on that. All right, without further ado, I think it's time for us to get into this, right? We covered everything. Okay. All right, here we go. So, travel stresses. What stresses you out? Today's topic. This one's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so it's what gives you anxiety. We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to give you a solution to some of these stresses, which is actually, it took us a while to kind of think of all the different solutions, or if there is even a solution, because some of them you're just like, well, what are we going to do? It is what it is. But for most of them, we have the solutions for you. So let us know in the comments if you see anything that we gave you a solution for that you didn't think of. All right, so the first one, I think I brought this. I might have brought the one in here. Let me remove this and let me bring in. I think I did another one here. Sorry about that, guys. Is it this one here? Let's see. No, it's not this one. It might be the first one.
But you just added the first one.
No, I added slides. I added this one here.
Yeah.
So it might be this. Let's see this one here. Let's see. Because I changed a few things. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so the first one on our list is visa stress.
And this is personally the one for me. I have to research to make sure every country visas policy, need to make sure, the travel documents are in check. And we did come across a couple of visa situations that we literally had to cancel the flights while we are at the airport. The first one was
Cambodia? Well, no, Vietnam.
No, the first one was Australia.
Australia, okay, going back to Australia.
When I just received my US citizenship and I just got my passport for the very first time, I was super pumped. I'm an American citizen finally. And I got my passport, and of course, when you get it, they tell you cross-check everything. So I was looking at my passport, so excited, checking everything, and everything was checking out, except my maiden name starts with the P, and P and R looks super similar. And I just did not see that line that comes out of P to make it the R. And I applied for Australian visa with the proper maiden name. And when we did get to the airport, and the airport check-in clerk was looking at my passport, was looking at my visa, she was all confused. And she's like, wait, your last name is spelled wrong somewhere. And I'm like, no way. When she gave me the passport, and when I looked at my passport, it was just like, as I was looking at my passport for the very first time, and just for the first time, I see the R instead of the P. I was just so shocked. But luckily, we were able to rectify the situation really fast. And the second time, our visa problem happened again, right at the airport.
Yeah, we had Vietnam booked. We were here in Thailand, and this happened recently. This is about, what, 2 months ago, 3 months ago? And when we got to the airport getting ready to go through check-in, they were like, your birthday doesn't match what's on your visa. We were like, what? When they looked at it, yep, we saw the difference in the birthday date. They called Vietnam and they said, hey, can we let these people through? Vietnam was like, nope. If the birth date don't match the visa, we can't do that. So we had to make a decision right on the spot. And, that was the situation. We had to book a new flight, book new reservations for hotels, accommodation. Everything had to be like right there on the spot.
Yeah, and we usually do research before we go in anywhere, and we didn't do the research for Cambodia, and pretty much went there blindsided.
Yeah, yeah, it was really bad. So yes, the visa situation can be stressful. Again, it's a lot of paperwork. You have to submit stuff, you get it back, you have to cross-check it. So that is kind of like, I guess, like the solution, right? Like when you get a document that's important like that and you need it to travel, and if anything is off, is if one letter is off, it can ruin your whole entire vacation. You definitely have, when you get that document, you have to go through it, cross all the T's, dot all the I's, make sure everything is exactly the way it is. Because when they get that document from you, they're looking at everything. So you don't want to get to the airport and find out you can't go on your vacation because your visa situation is off.
And make sure both of your partners, whoever's traveling, checking the documents. But
Yep.
funny with my passport, obviously, Devon saw my passport as well.
Yeah.
And he did not see the R instead of the P. So we got that slipped. But this time now, triple checking every time I need to actually apply for the visa, and checking all the requirements.
Okay, so let's get into the next one, the packing stress. Well, this one, it's funny because a lot of people usually overpack when they go on vacation. They usually carry so much more than what they really need. And when you're thinking about it, your mindset is like, oh, I need this when I go out in the evening, and then I need this when I'm going to be at the pool, and I need this when I'm walking through town, and I need this when I go out in the nighttime and have my cocktails. So in your mind, you're going through all these different scenarios about what you're going to do when you get to your destination, and you try to bring the clothing that you're going to wear for all that. And 9 out of 10 times, when you get back and you open your suitcase, you're like, I didn't wear half the clothes that I thought I was going to wear. So you're stressing yourself out trying to figure, oh my God, I need this, and this goes with this, and this match with this, and oh, I don't have this, or I've had this already for 2 months. I need to just go shopping. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy all this new outfits and everything. That's the mindset of most travelers when they travel.
Yeah. Our Instagram live stream is not streaming, so maybe you need to reconnect from over here.
Oh yeah, just dropped.
Usually, you are thinking about your wardrobe more than when you get to the place. You become more relaxed when you get to the place, and just go with the flow. And that's why you a lot of times end up not wearing as many outfits as you wanted to. But when you pack, again, try to pack in advance, or maybe plan out your toiletries, plan out your outfits, not the very last day, or sometimes we pack the actually day off traveling.
And not only that, when you pack so much, in the moment, you're thinking about what I'm going to need when I get there. What am I going to need to look good when I get there? So you bring all this extra clothes, or you go out and you go shopping for new clothes, and then you're dragging this big suit. Like, we've seen people in the airport, it's incredible, like just couples, and they would have like 4 suitcases plus 2 backpacks. I'm like, I mean, again, I don't know what their situation is. I don't know how long they're going to be traveling for, but it's just so much stuff. And again, most of the times you don't even really use them.
Yeah, I just recently saw a video on TikTok. These 2 ladies are moving to Thailand, and they brought 8 suitcases with them. And of course, they had to pay for extra luggage for
That's another thing.
overweight. And one suitcase was 60 pounds instead of the allowance of 50 pounds. So, and when she opened the suitcase, and of course she showed everything on TikTok, it was filled with just shoes. So she was just literally taking shoes out and throwing them away right there at the airport.
Okay, let's get into the next one. The airport stresses. For this is all me. I get stressed whenever it is I have to go to an airport. And the only thing that can calm my stress is getting there early. But to talk about the airport stresses, for some people, it's the TSA. Going through TSA, I have to take off my shoes. I have to take my laptop, my, what is it? The iPads.
Sometimes even toiletries.
Yeah, you have to take what you packed really nice and neat and think that you would never have to unpack again. You gotta have your laptop and stuff handy, so when you get to that conveyor belt at TSA, you got to be able to pull this out. People are behind you. You want to keep things moving. You're trying to get to your terminal. So all this for me raises my anxiety big time, because it's like I got to pull this out, and I got to remember when I'm packing, okay, have my laptop and other things that I know they asked for to put in a separate tray. That has to be really close to me so I can just unzip, drop it in, and zip it back in. So yeah.
I remember two worst TSA for me personally. One was in Canada, when when you fly, you have to have no more than 3 items for 100 milliliters size. So what they did is they were giving everyone plastic quart size bags, and they made all your they made you take out all your toiletries from whatever packaging you had and fit specifically in that quart bag, and whatever was not fitting, what was had to be thrown away. And that was really a terrible situation, and it caused a lot of congestion, because again, once you have all your toiletries packed, they're
Yeah.
packed. And yes, the travel size is small, and you have to replace everything, then put everything back. That it was a really bad situation, and very stressful.
And again, a lot of these things like that we talk about, it's things that we have to do when we travel, if you're taking a flight. So you don't know when you get to these foreign airports or anything like that, what their policies are. It could be a little bit different than what you're used to, but it can make them a big difference, right? That you have to throw stuff out or repack stuff or switch your clothing around because they expect less, the weight to be a little bit, less, and you have to switch stuff out. So it just creates this whole thing.
Yeah,
I'm like,
Kuala Lumpur also was a very different airport from anywhere we have ever traveled. Kuala Lumpur has extra TSA security
it's like
scans
checkings.
right before you go to the gate. So usually when you enter the airport, you just go through one TSA and that is it. But in Kuala Lumpur specifically, you have to go through two when you go just to regular airport. One through just before security, then you go through your TSA, then you head to your gate, and right before your gate or a group of gates, there is another TSA where you have to scan everything again, and they take out your water that you purchased overpriced in the airport as well.
Yeah, that's an issue, because normally you figure once you get through TSA, you're like, okay, let me purchase water now because it's safe. I can get on the flight with my water. But in Kuala Lumpur, that's not what it is. And we purchased water after we went through the first TSA. Then we went through a second checkpoint. They're like, no liquids. And she had to throw out her water again. We went, I think it was like 2 or 3 different TSAs we had to go through, right?
We had to go through 4.
Well, yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, and to address some of the solutions at the airport, well, number one is we always suggest, and I never used to be like this, so I was also on the other side of the fence. I would try to arrive at the airport giving myself, if I'm flying domestic, I give myself like an hour and a half, hour 40 minutes tops, because I don't want to wait around. I want to get to the airport and I want to get on the flight. I don't want to be sitting around waiting, because for me, waiting was not, I don't like it at all. I don't like sitting around. But you must do that because there's so many things that are unpredictable. There's so many variables. You could get stuck in traffic if you don't give yourself enough time, especially when traveling internationally. There could be traffic. There could be more people going through TSA or traveling that day than you anticipated. There could be like flight changes and delays and cancellations and gate changes. So you have to give yourself enough time to get to the airport and get at your terminal and give yourself enough time to do that. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Especially flying out of international countries. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Very recently, when we were flying out of Ho Chi Minh, when you fly out, you have to go through immigration again so they can stamp you out. When we got to the airport, the immigration line was over an hour. Usually,
Massive.
the immigration line is long when you enter in the country, but there it was also when you were exiting. And we normally do minimum 3 hours before we fly out, sometimes 4 hours. And somewhere else, we were, I think it was in the US, we were in Fort Lauderdale or something like that, and we had a long layover, so we booked a local hotel, and our flight was in the morning, and the hotel provided the shuttle, so we decided to jump on the earlier shuttle, and luckily we did so because Devon's phone dropped out in the van, and we had to contact the hotel and wait for an hour
for the shuttle to circle back around.
Yeah, and the driver would
Bring it.
brought Devon's phone.
And that, of course, that raised the stress level because I lost my phone. I mean, I knew where it was, and they did say that the driver is coming back with it. But you would think, okay, the driver's just going to turn around and come right back within, 10 minutes. But no, he got back to the hotel. He waited for everyone who was going to take the shuttle to get to the airport to board the van and then bring the phone. So, yeah, it turned out to be over an hour wait, and that was just crazy. But again, the solution is always give yourself more time, way more time than you think you would need. Also, I think what helps, at least for us, if you have what do you call it when you go to the restaurants in the airport?
Lounge.
When you have lounge, if you have a lounge pass, that really helps a lot. And, you can get to the airport 2-3 hours in advance and then just go to a lounge, have a drink, relax, and then get to your gate with way enough time. I understand if you don't have the lounge pass, it might be like, okay, I just got to sit at my terminal. But again, it's your vacation. So you want everything to go smooth. You don't want no hindering.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to the next one.
And also about the airport solution, make sure when you pack in properly and know all the weight requirements, because especially when you travel budget airlines like in America, I've seen a lot of stories when, what was it, either Spirit or Frontier, that they were forcing your bag to fit in their specific shape when you're
and some people's bag fit.
Yeah.
The bag fits in there and they're like, my bag is fitting. And they're like, no, it's being squeezed, the blah, blah, blah. And they give you a hard time. Again, you don't see these things coming until you're actually there and you're in it. And it causes, everything to go down the tube. So yeah, for sure. So the next one's connecting flights. Well, this one is like crazy to me because this one, I feel the airlines are kind of responsible for this. So I'll ask you this question. How many times have you gone on vacation where there is a connecting flight? And for some reason, 9 out of 10 times, they want to give you a connecting flight of an hour.
Or less. I've seen flights when there was only 30 minutes before.
Right. And the thing is, when you see this, when you're booking your flights, you're like, oh, the connecting flight is within an hour or less than an hour. That's awesome. I'm going to jump off one plane, just run and grab and jump on the next plane. That's beautiful, right? But not really. Because what happens is when you get off your first flight, number one, sometimes you have to grab your luggage before you get on the second flight.
Yeah, so you really need to make sure that connecting flight luggage is seamless.
Right. And not only that, but when you get off your first flight, getting to your second flight, you might not know, you might not be aware that the airport where you're making this connection is massive. They have, all these trams. They have different terminal A, terminal B, terminal 1.A, terminal B.C. It gets, and you might think, okay, the walking distance might be 10 minutes, no problem. But some of these airports are so huge that it can take up to 15, 20 minutes, if not more, to get to the next terminal to catch your next flight. And you're not giving yourself enough time, or you didn't think about it, and you don't have enough time to make it to your next flight. So you're running through the airport. Then you realize, oh my God, we're in the wrong terminal. We have to even get to another terminal. So we have to take a shuttle bus, or we have to take a tram or something to get to the other side of the airport just to get on this connecting flight. And you only had 1 hour. God forbid that first flight you were on is delayed. So if that was delayed when you left your initial airport, now you know for sure there is no way you can make that connecting flight. Now you're just sitting there waiting for them to put you on the next flight, and that raises the stress level like crazy.
Yeah, we had actually a really funny situation with connecting flights. We were traveling to, I think, Mexico from New York, and I don't remember where exactly we had the connecting flight, but as Devon mentioned before, we had to take our luggage and transfer it by ourselves to the next flight. And at that time we had away luggage, navy blue color, and apparently that was the most popular suitcase size and color. It was large navy blue, and just everybody had that luggage. And somebody took our luggage.
Right. They got downstairs to the luggage carrier before we did. They grabbed our suitcase. They went away with it. We're waiting. Then we see our suitcase. So we just grabbed it. We're like, okay, this is our suitcase. And when we're going to check out, they look at the baggage tag and they're like, wait, this doesn't match. And we're like, oh my goodness, this is not our luggage. We're like, what? Then where's our luggage? And that's when we assumed, oh my goodness, someone probably saw our luggage, thought it was theirs the same way we did with theirs, and they took it. So we're waiting around now trying to figure out where's our luggage.
And we would have missed the connection because of that situation if our second flight was not delayed.
And luckily we saw the guy that took our luggage started walking back towards us, and we're like, oh, look, he has our luggage. He's like, yeah, sorry, I took the wrong luggage. But again, that's an honest mistake. But again, if you don't give yourself enough time to basically, whenever you're booking your flight, you want to give yourself at least, I don't know,
3 to 4 hours. That's what we like to do. Because again, sometimes even 2 hours is not enough. In Kuala Lumpur, we had to wait for our luggage for 1 hour. You know why? Because it was raining. So they couldn't take
the luggages out the plane.
I've never seen that before. I don't think ever in America. Rain or sunshine, they take out your luggage.
Well, the thing is, because in the US and a lot of other places around the world, the cart that brings your luggage from the plane to the back end of the terminal to put it in the conveyor belt, they usually have like a roof and they have plastic. So if it's raining, if it's snowing, anything like that, once they take it off the conveyor belt from the airplane and throw it into the carriage, it's not getting wet. But for some reason, that wasn't the way it was there, and they didn't want anybody's luggage to get wet, so they had to wait, and that held up the whole process. So again, you just never know these things until you're actually in it.
Just recently we had to actually cancel the flight and fight for the refund, because we booked the flight from Singapore to one of the islands in Thailand, and the connection was in Bangkok. And I booked the connection 2 hours and 50 minutes, so almost 3 hours, because again, when you have an international flight, you always have to go through the immigration of the first country you land in, and then transfer to your connecting flight to go to the next country. And the company itself changed our connection to only 50 minutes, which was impossible to go through the immigration. And if you again had to pick up your luggage and transfer it manually, that would be also difficult. And because we booked through a third party, they did not want to give us the refund. And they said if you cancel, that would be your voluntary cancellation. So I had to call our credit card company and dispute the charge. And once they filed the dispute, the company released the funds because they know they cannot win it.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, that's why I said, I think it's the airlines company, because they want to give you an hour window to connect your flight. And realistically, that's really, really cutting it close, and you're setting yourself up for failure if you did book a 1 hour connecting flight. If you're going domestically, then yeah, I think it's okay, but not when you're traveling international. I would not suggest you do a 1 hour transfer. It's just, that's cutting it way too close. And again, it's international airports, and you might not know that airport, so you don't know the structure and how to get around it. So you have to navigate to your gate, which is, yeah, that puts you in a bad situation. All right, we're going to move on to the next one. the missing luggage stress. I don't think nothing stresses people out more than the fact that they got to where they need to go to and their luggage is just not there.
Mhm. We had the situation only once
Hmm.
happen to us throughout all this times
Travel.
of travels. We went to Mexico years ago. I think it was like 2018 or so. And when we arrived to the airport, we did have a did we do it connect and fly? Maybe even not. But our luggage was not there. It was and we went to the luggage missing luggage counter, and they said our luggage was on the next flight.
Hmm.
But we didn't want to wait at the airport for 3 hours. And basically what they did is they just delivered the luggage right to our door. But the problem is the way they delivered, they just left it right at the door. They didn't even make sure the luggage was safe or anything. They just left it at the door, and
Yeah.
anybody could have taken it.
Yeah. There's a lot of like nightmare stories of people not getting their luggage and stuff like that. And a scenario that we thought about was with the missing luggage is if you're traveling to a city to a city to a country and then you're going to stay there for like maybe a day or two before maybe taking a flight somewhere else in that country or something nearby. What happens is you only have 2 days to get your luggage at the first destination before you move on to your second destination. But and that's already booked, that's a flight. So you if they don't get your luggage to you at that first destination, now you're kind of screwed. You're like, well, what am I going to do with my luggage? Because I only plan to stay in this city for for 2 days. So and it's always up in the wind that you never know when you're going to get it, if you're even going to get it. So that's like a really, really big stress for people. Again, going back to the very beginning of this video, when we talk about the amount of effort and thought that you put into packing your perfect luggage and all the outfits you need and everything you need for this perfect vacation to now get to the destination and it's gone. And you have no way of knowing why it's missing. But it's up to the airport to try to figure out, and you have to fill out forms and say, well, how much uh what is the cost of everything in your luggage, and you're calculating all these things, and it's just crazy. It's crazy. So um these things happen. There's no way around it, like, and you never know when it's going to happen. So what's our solution to it?
Pack a carry-on with your basic necessities that are good for at least 1 or 2 days. We always separate our luggage when we travel internationally with the check-in. We have a small compressor bag with just a few items of clothing that we can change to. We also have a separate toiletry bag with just basic necessities with us, kind of like a second set,
Hmm.
and the rest goes in the check-in.
Yep. So that's our solution. Again, these things happen and you don't have control over it. But what you can do is prepare for the worst and just having an extra bag, a couple underwears, maybe a pants you could wear a few days, a couple t-shirts, and that's all you need, and carry that with you. That way, if your bag goes missing, you're covered with clothing and you don't really have to stress it as much until they can figure out, how they can
This is
fix
an
the issue.
active discussion, so be sure to leave a comment what kind of travel stresses
You
you
have.
have,
Yeah,
and what would be possible as a solution for you,
right.
or can you relate to any of the travel stresses that we are talking about?
Okay, let's move on to the next one we have here. So the accommodation stress. So one of the worst feelings is when you book your vacation and you figured out your accommodation, where you're going to stay, and you walk into the room and it's like, wait a minute, this is not what I saw in the photos, or this is not what I thought it was going to be. That's one of the worst things, when you open that door and you see the room and you're like, it looks so much bigger online when I was booking it, or it looks much more modern than what it looks like now. That's not a good feeling, because this is where you're probably going to spend your 7 or 10 days of vacation, and the accommodation is not what you thought.
And this actually happened to us when we went to Belize. We booked a resort, and online the room looked beautiful, renovated. But when we got there, it was old school. It did not look anything like on the photos, and it's just the resort organization and the staff and the food. It was just a really bad experience,
Hmm.
and we did do a video for it, not recommending it. That's actually one of the very rare videos that we do,
Hmm.
but it happens.
Yeah, but how do we fix that? What would be the solution to that?
um, I think the best thing is to see actual videos, recent videos online. This is why we do walking
Room
tours, room
tours.
tours of the resorts and hotels that we are staying in, so you
Yes.
can actually
See it.
see it in person. Because I do try my best to look at the reviews when I book it. And not only through the booking company. So, for example, the when we book hotels, I prefer personally the way the organization and setup looks like booking.com. And when I look at the reviews, you can check bed, breakfast, little tags, and all the reviews for those specific tags will populate. Because when we book, sometimes we prefer to book hotels with breakfast included. And of course, the comments you get sometimes, like, this is the best breakfast, or this is a very limited choices, so you kind of have to go through many of them and assess it for yourself. But also, I do like to cross check with other platforms, with Google, for example. And when I do look at Google reviews, I also look at whether that if it's a bad review, if it gave any type of specific, not just like I had bad experience, that's
Yeah,
it.
some people would do that. It's
Yeah,
like this bad experience. It's
yeah,
horrible.
and it could be just not even related to the business, or
Right.
maybe the person had a bad day, and just the entire perspective of that person, of the entire business, was kind of tainted.
Right.
And I look at and there are some other people that purposely try to write fake bad reviews to bring the business down. So I look at how many reviews that person had. If that person had, again, no picture on the review, if the person had no previous review, maybe that's a fake review.
Mhm.
So I kind of try to gauge it by that. But sometimes hotels force people to write bad reviews, and that is
Good
why
reviews.
I'm sorry, good reviews. And that is why for us it's very important to stay honest with you and really give our honest opinion about the places that we stay at, and whether we recommend it or we don't recommend it. um, that was happened to us in
In
Vietnam,
Vietnam, we
for
went to a
example.
hotel. Hmm.
I found the hotel. It was very well priced, and it had like almost 10 star reviews on booking.com. And when we got there, and I'm like, why would people review 10? It's definitely not 10. They're lacking in so many things. And when I gave oh, of course way less than the 10 review, also when you travel in Southeast Asia, it's common for a reception to ask for your WhatsApp number. This way they can help you with anything through WhatsApp. It's kind of like a online concierge thing. So they had my personal WhatsApp number. And when they saw my review, they started bombarding me, harassing me to take down the review on my WhatsApp number. And they were threatening that their boss will fire them. Please take down the review. I eventually had to block them because I did not want to take down my review, because I felt like it was very misleading when I read other reviews.
Yep. So let's move on to the next one. So there's the corruption stress. And this one, I don't know if you guys have ever been in a situation where you've traveled to a country, and we all know all places have corruption. So there's no way to go around that. But, in certain situations, there are places where you know, when we say corruption, we mean like, so a situation, you might be driving down a road and there's a roadblock and they stop you, and it's an official, right? It's a police, it's someone, it's an official, and they say, where you going, how long you been here, what are you doing here, and they're asking you all these questions, and they seem to want to come up with something to kind of hold you back, and all they really want is for you to throw them some dollars under the table type of thing. And you have to be prepared for that. But then again, how could you, right? It's a situation that just happens. So I mean, for that, I don't think there's no type of solution. But what we would like to know, through any one of our viewers or anyone who watched this video, have you been in a situation? Because I know a lot of countries have it. It's not something that doesn't happen. You know, it happens often, especially if you're traveling to a lot of these certain countries where it's even more. You know, so if you had a situation where you know, got stopped by the police and you know for a fact they wanted you to slip something under the table, let us know. You had a situation like that at the airport, right?
Yeah, but it was many years ago, but 13 years ago when I had my 1 month Southeast Asia trip. I don't remember exactly what country it was. I believe it was Cambodia, but I might be wrong. But now, when you go through the immigration, they have in every country they have an official booth, and each representative is behind a glass, and it's kind of like official, right? When you go through the immigration counter, and whether they have to stamp you or you have to pay for the visa on arrival. But back in the days, they were just tourniquets, and the representative was standing and checking the passports behind tourniquets, because I used to travel with my Russian passport, and to that country I did not need a visa and didn't need any stamp or anything. They were just checking the passport to make sure I match my passport. So when I was going through that tourniquet, I realized that the immigration officer started playing the games of giving me the passport, pulling it back, smiling, laughing. So I did not know what was going on. So he would not let me go through. He would pass me the passport. As soon as I was trying to take it, he would take it away. And he was just playing this game. And I didn't know what was going on. Like, do I need to give him the money? Is it a setup? Am I going to get caught for bribing the officer? Like, what am I supposed to do in that situation? And I honestly don't remember what happened, if I did give him some money or not. Maybe I didn't even have any cash with me, but I eventually got through. But it was a very uncomfortable
Yeah.
situation.
And sometimes they do that too. Like they're setting you up for failure. Like if you, it looks like they want you to give them money, and then when you do give them money, they're like, whoa, what are you doing? You're trying to bribe me? Okay, we're taking you in. And then they get more money out of you, because now you got to get out of jail or you got to get out of their custody. And now they're going to say, okay, for you to leave, you're going to have to, you know, because that's bribery and you could be put in jail for that, and I'm sure you don't want that. So if you pay this fine, of this bribery fine, then you can leave, which now they're getting more money, because up front you probably would have only given them a few bucks, but on the back end they're going to hit you for bribery. So yeah, again, you don't know, you don't see these things coming, but it's actually a part of travel. So if you've been involved in any type of these stories, we would love to know. Leave it in the comment and let us know. The next one, this is a major one: the taxi scam stress. So whenever you go to a country, I'm sure you're more fully aware that taxis are one of the most rampant scams. Their meters are fixed. It goes faster than normal. You're in another country. You might think, oh well, wow, that got there really fast.
Driving around the block.
Right. They figure you don't know where you're from or where you're going. But of course, now with apps, you know, you can figure that out and know the direction and everything. But again, some people just don't use their phones like that. So, you know, the cab driver sees that and he just kind of takes the long route, or, you know, he takes the route where he knows at this time of day there's going to be a lot of traffic. So, you know what? Let me take that main street instead of the back street, so I can get stuck in traffic, and, you know, you pay more. So there's a lot of little things, and it might not seem like it's a scam in the moment, because you're like, oh, I'm stuck in traffic. What am I going to do? There's nothing I can do. But maybe he took that route, you know. And these guys, they play all these games when you're getting into a taxi.
Yeah, and we had a situation in Turkey. we took a metered taxi to our hotel, and I mapped it on Google Maps, the route, but the driver obviously took the longer route, and it did show on Google Maps that it was the longer route. And we ended up paying twice what it should have been from what I was reading online, how much the taxi should have been. When I was traveling in Vietnam back in the days, there was no type of taxi apps. You have to take metered taxi, and Vietnam, still some drivers in Vietnam do it, but before it was way worse. And what they do is they make the meter run 3 times faster, and you see the meter and it's just like running changing it really fast. So what I knew about this scam, and it was very uncomfortable situation when I had to like always think of, whenever I take the cab, I have to like think, is he like
scamming
or not? So,
and again, you don't want to get into any disputes with anyone in a foreign country, because you don't know their laws, you don't know their rules, and you know, escalation can take place all of a sudden. Now the police is involved, and if there's corruption on top of that involved, then they're going to take the side of the local. You're just a person who's going to pay the money to get out. So you know, you don't want to escalate things, so you end up paying way more than you should. So like a good solution would be, number one, well, if you're not good with technology, that's a big problem, because the technology on your phones and the different apps is a lifesaver and a game changer.
For example, in Southeast Asia, there is a very popular Uber-like app called Grab. There are several others, but we do use Grab because they take American credit cards. So you connect your credit card, and it's automatically taken out of your account, just like Uber. It's very convenient, and they do have customer service if anything goes wrong with your ride, and it's in English. If you the rides are significantly cheaper than you would just try to get in a taxi. But we were taking app taxis also in Portugal a lot, and
that's the way to go, because you know the price, you know how much you're going to pay. There's no like,
you see the route.
Yeah, you know the route also. So again, they're not, you know, if they have to take another route, you know, we're kind of like, wait, where you going? You're going totally opposite direction, and you bring it to their attention. You show them the app that the direction they should be going. So if they're trying to pull anything funky, you could see it, because you see the car traveling through the route. So it's definitely, number one, the way to go. But also what we want to mention is that when you're in a foreign country, different places have different apps, right? So if you're in Western culture, they might have the Lyft and the Uber. Here, like Irina mentioned, in Southeast Asia, it's Grab. So do your research. They have Bolt, right? So do your research in where you're going, find out what are the apps for transportation, and then download that app, attach a credit card to it. And when you get out the airport, that's what you should, you know, familiarize yourself with it, and that's what you should use. It'll save yourself a lot of headache. And that's why also, when we travel, and if we're going on a tour or anything like that, and we have a really good experience with our driver, we always get the driver's number and we put it, their WhatsApp number, and we put it in that video, because we know this is a big thing for people. People get scammed a lot when it comes to taxis. So whenever we find a taxi driver that's really good and we could recommend, we always get their number. We put their number in our videos, especially if we're going on like an all-day tour or something like that. And we recommend them because we know they're honest. They gave us a good rate. And not only that, when you use their number through our video, they'll give you, you know, an even better rate. So it works out. Okay, let's move to the next.
Wait, but another solution, if you are not using any apps and you must take a regular taxi, you have to negotiate the rate before you get in, because by the time you arrive and ask how much, it could be double. A lot of times in the Bahamas, what you don't know is that they charge not only for your ride, but they charge for every piece of luggage that you carry with you. And that's the normal thing in the Bahamas. That's by law.
And we didn't know that until the last time we were there. Right.
When we knew that we had to negotiate, but and then they were adding luggage, and we're like, oh, why are you charging us for luggage? It's the prices per ride.
Mhm.
But they do that.
And also, if you do have the travel app like the Grab or the Uber or anything like that, if you're trying to book a ride, you see what the rates are and what it should cost to get to your destination. So now, if for some reason, because sometimes you use these apps, and when you book the ride, they cancel on you. So now you're there waiting. You're like, oh my gosh, but you already know how much it would cost. So now, if you wanted to go to a regular cab driver and say, I'm going to this destination, how much are you charging? They might give you a rate, and you're like, I was getting Uber, I was getting, Grab, and they said this is what it's going to cost. Already they're trying to get over. So sometimes they're like, okay, I'll give it to you at that price, and you can get into the taxi, and you'll get it at the rate that the app was telling you. So it's a good gauge to figure out how much it's going to cost you to get to your destination. Okay, we good with that? Yeah. Okay, we're gonna go to the next one, and it's the ATM scams. And we don't think a lot about this one neither. Like, if you need money, that means you're probably trying to solve a problem you're having, where it's like, oh damn, I need cash because I need to get this done, and I didn't know that they don't take credit cards. So you just kind of go to the nearest ATM across the street or wherever you can find one, pop your card in, and try to get money. Well, that can cost you big time, because ATMs, they have a lot of so what they do is, some of the scams they do is they put like another cover on top of the original cover, and when you slip your card in, they're scanning your card as it's going in, and they're pulling all the information, all your banking information off your card. And later on, you realize there's a crap load of money missing out of your account, and you're like, how did this even happen? Like, my credit card wasn't stolen. They have so many schemes when it comes to credit card machines. It's just a lot. So you have to be careful. And how you be careful when it comes to that?
Another problem with the ATM scams is when the bank charges double the exchange rate.
Mhm.
We did not come across personally with that problem, but we heard online a lot of people were talking about it. When you try to pull out foreign currency, every ATM asks you if you would agree to the currency exchange rate that the ATM offers you. And a lot of times they don't tell you the rate, they just tell you you agree or you don't agree. So if you agree, the ATM of that specific bank was charging you literally double. So instead of $100, $200 would have been taken out of your account for no reason. So the solution would be is to, if you are taking money out of foreign ATM, always click no to agree to the exchange rate. This way your bank will always give you the best rate for the currency exchange.
Mm-hmm. And then also, another one is not to use ATMs that are kind of plastered on the side of a building or like in a little alley or anything like that. Like, you want to go to a bank. Like, what is the local bank in wherever it is you are, and then go inside of a bank where it's well lit. They have cameras everywhere. Some of them even have guards sitting in there. But they also have about 5, 6, 8 different ATM machines you can choose from. That is your best situation when taking money out in a foreign place where you don't understand kind of like what's going on. If you can find a bank, it's your best way to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Very rare, but sometimes it happens that the ATM wouldn't allow you to. The ATM would cap you from taking out X amount of money. For example, in Vietnam, it's only $80 you can take out per time at the ATM.
Yep. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Also, the scams of like, the pickpocketing and everything else. So whenever you travel, again, you don't really think about these things because you're thinking of the end result. You're thinking about, I'm going to go, I'm going to relax, I'm going to have a great time, or I'm going to go and visit all these museums and all these wonderful places this country has to offer. And you don't take the time to figure out, like, what are the scams in these places. You have a lot of places where there's a lot of attractions, and it brings bad people to those areas, and they try to pickpocket you. Or if you step on their stuff, then if you step on it, then that means you bought it. but they put it right in the middle of where everyone is walking, and you're like this, looking around at everything, and then you step in there like, hey, you stepped on my painting, and it's like, you got to pay for that. You're like, I didn't even see it. Well, you got to pay for it, because now who's going to buy it? So you stepped on it, you bought it. Or they'll put something on your wrist and say, oh, it's free, look, look, look. And once they get it on your hand, it's like, okay, pay me. And you're like, wow, I didn't want it, but now it's tied onto your hand. And it's kind of like, they try to make a big scene, they raise their voice, and it becomes an uncomfortable situation. So you have to be aware of that. Okay. And again, the solution is just to do your research on where is it that you're going, and know, hey, is this place like, are they big on scams in this area? Because I heard a lot of places like in Spain, or places like in London, again, wherever there's a lot of attraction and there's a lot of people congregating in that area, it's a prime place for, to get pickpocketed. So be aware of it.
Or they already have known scams
Mhm.
that you just need to,
Be
once
aware
you
of.
do a little research, you will kind of know what it's about.
Mhm.
Sometimes they take your phone away to take pictures, and
They don't give it back
to
unless you pay them. Yeah, I think that happens a lot, like in Egypt. So wherever it is you're going, it's a really simple search. Just say scams in and the country you're going, and or the city you're going, and Google will pull it all up and they'll say, hey, a popular scam in this place is blah, blah, blah. And you'll know to look forward to it. I mean, not forward to it, but look out for it. Yes, yeah, for sure. Now, coming back in from your vacation, and now you have to deal with these massive immigration lines, and they are massive.
So make sure you, again, from Vietnam, when we were coming back, there was an hour long immigration line going out of the country. And luckily, we always go 3 hours minimum.
Yeah. And even when we're coming back in, when we're going back to New York, it's like the immigration line is, it just seems, this is what it seems like. It seems like all the airplanes landed at exactly the same time, and everyone bolted to immigration at the same time. Because I'm like, how is it that the lines just wrap like this? And you're like, oh my God, like how is it this much people in immigration? Well, that's just the way it is. But there's actually a way around this. I'm not sure if you know. You want to say?
Well, when you, especially for US, when you coming back from an international flight, to avoid all these lines and just get home as quick as possible, we highly recommend to get the global pass. Excuse me. It's just a game changer when you're coming back to the US. They scan your face, and there are a lot of machines, and most of them are available, and you just go back home to your country in just a matter of minutes, opposed to standing in line. Sometimes US have lines for 2 hours.
Yep.
You trust me, I know, because I've been coming to the US as an immigrant with a visa, as a permanent resident with a green card, and just with my US passport. So there's a very long wait.
Yep. So that is the solution for it, for sure. Get that, and also they have the thing is, when you get global entry, it also comes with TSA.
Yes.
So that gets you through even fat. When you go to just regular check-in, that you would normally have to take off your shoes. Sometimes you don't even have to take off your shoes. And, you have to put your laptop. Sometimes you don't even have to put your laptop in the bin. With TSA, you're kind of already pre-screened or whatever, and you can avoid all these little nuances that you have to go through that annoys you.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work everywhere abroad.
Right.
It's on mostly in the US, and sometimes in Europe, when your TSA pass will work. But it is really helpful when it does.
Yeah. And some people would just, they rather kind of just go for TSA, getting a TSA pass. And again, that's great if you're not doing international. But if you travel internationally or plan to, you're much better off getting the global, because the global comes with TSA.
And the price difference is only $20.
Exactly.
And
but it does take longer, and the process of getting it, and the screening, and going to an airport and waiting for it, that's a longer process. But at the end of the day, it's 100% worth it. So we highly recommend you getting a global pass if you're in the States. I'm not sure how it works in Europe and other countries, but definitely if you're in Western culture, get yourself the global entry. Thank us later. All right, so I think we covered a lot. Again, if you guys have any others that we didn't cover here in this, definitely drop a comment, let us know, and we could all discuss it. We're gonna jump into the live chat here and kind of see what what everyone is talking about. It does say that we're live in Instagram, and when I check here,
it's grayed out though.
See, it is actually running. So I don't know, maybe it reconnected or whatever. West Coast says, what stresses me out? The airport crowds and my heavy carry-on bags. There you go. I never check in bags due to the fear of it being stolen or lost. I don't get much help from flight attendants anymore. So these are okay. So this is a bunch of things here. So okay, so the airports, the crowding of the airports. Yes, I think that's also what stresses me out too. Is just everyone is going in all different directions, and when you get to an airport, you have to figure out, okay, where's my airlines? Okay, it's over here. Okay, now which claim do I have to go to check-in? And then you got to figure that out. Then when you get there, your documents have to be good, and you figure out, okay, what is it that I'm going to check in? So yes, all of that is just, it's a lot. Going through an airport is a lot. You know,
heavy bags. Yes, definitely. I
Yeah.
can relate, but we try to get a very good luggage. Right now we're using monos, and the wheels on the luggage are super important, and it's makes such a big difference when you have a big luggage and it's heavy, and the wheels just pretty much roll the luggage itself.
Yeah, it really does help. So she says she never checks in her bag because she's always fear of it getting stolen.
There is a chance, but I think most of the times you do get it.
Yeah.
So
but the times you don't, it really does stress you out. So I do understand what is it that you're saying. She also said she doesn't seem to get much help from flight attendants anymore. I'm not sure what that's in regard to, but if you want to talk about like the service you get on an airline, yeah, I don't think it's what it used to be before, because I remember in my childhood when you would travel, I mean, even domestically, you would get like a decent meal, or whatever it is they give you to eat is decent.
It was always coming with meals.
Yeah. Now, like, you're lucky if you get peanuts. You're lucky if you get some type of cookie. You're lucky even if you get water. So I think it's the service has decreased, but the pricing has definitely gone up. And
well, the budget airlines that many people rave
Yeah.
about,
that's always a
they
situation.
always say you get what you pay for.
Yep. Let's see. Deborah says, just traveling by plane usually stresses me out. Hoping not to miss my flight and going through security. Absolutely. And not only that, some people, actually, I'll go as far as a lot of people are just afraid of flying. They have a fear of being up in the air in a tin can. And I think I used to be like that, but being that I've been traveling for a while now, like, that has kind of eased. But still, when you're up there, it's always a little nerve-wracking. But some people, they have to take some type of pill to kind of anxiety pill to kind of calm them down and stuff like that. But that's just that's a you issue. That's like you need to work on that. Yeah, before takeoff, once she gets in her seat during boarding and she straps her seatbelt, she has a scarf. She throws a scarf over her head and she's gone. This is before pushback. She's out cold, and I'm like, how do you do that? Like, I wish I could do that, but I can't.
Devon, recline my chair seat when it's time, and of course he never does. And then I wake up in the middle of the flight, and I'm like, oh, my seat is not reclined.
Yeah.
But I think what helps with the flying stress is there are a lot of again, social media has opened a lot of doors, and now a lot of pilots have their own channels on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and they're being very helpful explaining the turbulent situation, explaining all.
Why do you feel what you feel when you're on an airplane? Why does your ear pop? Why do you get this vibration? Like, what are those sounds you're hearing? Because if you're not comfortable flying and you hearing underneath the plane, you're like, whoa, what is that? Is the wheel about to fall off or something? You have all these thoughts. So yeah,
Because
definitely.
the fear comes from the unknown, but when you do a little bit of research, when you more aware of the situation, it eases you down. And every time there is a turbulence, there's obviously many reasons,
Hmm.
and uh, many people stress out like, oh, we're gonna crash. But I don't know how many planes actually crashed from a turbulence.
Yeah, yeah. It's very rare. Turbulence is a natural occurrence when flying. If you could go through an entire flight and not experience turbulence, that's awesome. But a lot of times it's a part. It's like I always compare it to kind of being in a car and then you go over potholes. Like the car is bouncing, right? That would be equivalent to being in the air where the air is not, distributing evenly over the wings, and you get these little air pockets, and then the plane does a little bump. But obviously, sometimes it could be way worse if you're flying near a storm or something. It can get really bad. But for the most part, even if it does get really bad, these planes are designed like that's a thing. These wings go through stress factors where they make the wing bind. You see the wing literally doing this during their testing to make sure like the wing's not going to break off or anything like that. So
yeah. And even if there is a crash, there is a very good chance of survival as well. We've seen a lot of plane crashes when passengers survived and got a pretty cool compensation from the company.
yeah, I don't want to be on that flight though. I take a hard pass on that one. Um, let's see. Yolanda says, what stresses me out is the packing. I do overpack just in case the weather changes and my clothes get damaged. Wait, what? Wait, what? Okay, just in case the weather changes or my clothes gets damaged. Okay, I thought you said the weather changes and then your clothes get damaged. I'm like, wow, what type of weather are you in? But yeah, I don't know. Again, there's a lot of people with this mindset. You pack and you overpack saying just in case, here's what I'm going to bring. And that just every time you say just in case and you put that extra article or two of clothing in your suitcase, you're making it heavier and heavier and heavier. And those are the article of clothing you never wear. You just never wear. So it's like you're toting around all this weight, extra weight for no reason. Like what you put in a big suitcase, you can literally put in a carry-on.
Yeah,
And you have
I
everything
think
you need.
the most difficult packing for us was Alaska, because that, in case weather changes, that
Oh yeah, that's a
is,
thing.
yeah,
That's
that's
a thing.
definitely a thing in Alaska.
Hmm.
Again, depending on the season, but you still need to pack your pretty much heavy winter clothes, something for rain, because when we were there, it just rained out, and we were drenched.
Yeah.
And luckily, we just had the second pair of pants,
Hmm.
because our pants were
And you always need
completely,
layers when
yeah.
you're in Alaska. Like you can go out and it's brick cold, and then all of a sudden the sun clears out, and you got to kind of strip layers off. So you even have to pack with, like, when you purchase things to go to Alaska, you have to purchase things that it can be
Specifically for
bulky,
Alaska.
right? It could be bulky, and then you just take it off, and then you have an underlining layer. Then you might be able to unzip that off, and then it had another layer on the inside. So layering is very important when going to Alaska. That's a whole different thing. But yeah, like,
Yeah, and we went through weather changes when we had to zip up with the hat on, heavy wind, super cold, then
mhm.
downpouring rain, then hot when it's just like a t-shirt or a light sweater weather. So
Yeah.
it was so interesting with the weather changes in Alaska.
And another thing, if you talk about packing and bringing everything you think you would need and more, at the end of the day, let's put yourself in the worst case scenario. So you might be going to, I don't know, a tropical island or anything like that for vacation. Your suitcase is gone, it's missing. You're not getting it back. So now you book a 7-day vacation or a 10-day vacation. You didn't bring your little bag of, just in case clothes. You don't have that with you. So you have no clothes except for what you have on. What is the worst case scenario? What are you going to do? Well, you're going to find a department store where in the town or the city or where the country where you're at, and you're going to purchase a few pieces of clothes. If you're in a place like on a tropical island or something like that, there are always vendors that sell like 2 for $5 t-shirts that say welcome to St. Thomas. Like you can rock that the whole 7 days, like no big deal, right? Like it's a tropical island. It's like relaxation. So there's really no need to stress what you were stressing even before when you're like, oh, like we've seen people, they have high heel shoes and they're walking in the sand. Like, I'm like, wait, what were you thinking? So whenever you're packing, that's where it all begins. The whole mental, like, oh, I'm gonna need this for that, and I'm gonna need this for that. And then a lot of times you don't need it. Because it could be resolved very easy. At the end of the day, it's just clothes. And I understand we all want to look good, right? We all want to present ourselves in the best way we can. But many times, like in places where we are, you know a tourist when you see them because they're dressed differently than people who actually live there. People who live there, they're in flip-flops, t-shirts, like even in Hawaii. I told my mom when she was coming in Hawaii, my mom loves to dress. My mom has closets in the apartment with clothes that still have price tags on them. Like she hasn't even popped the tag. So she just loves to dress. And she's like, well, what should I bring when I come to Hawaii? I'm like, Ma, if there's one advice I'm going to give to you, dress lightly. It's kind of windy here. It's breezy. It's cool. Sometimes it could be really hot. So don't bring anything that's going to be like it's too much. It's too heavy. Don't bring heavy fabric things. She brought like a suitcase stuffed to capacity. And I'm like, what is all this that you brought here? And she ended up using like maybe 2% of what she brought. Because most of the time she was in like very light, loose clothing, and, shorts or flowy pants and just slippers. So even the shoes and stuff she brought, she didn't even wear them. And I'm like, that's most people. So
yeah, when we went to Phuket, remember we were meeting friends.
Yeah.
They came from Las Vegas, and they had 2 big check-in suitcases each. And the entire week we were with them, they were just probably like 3-4 pieces of clothes.
yeah, the whole time. It's like most of the time you're wearing t-shirts and shorts and flip-flop. And that takes up little to no space. So that's definitely the way to go. Yolanda says, I love traveling with my family, but sometimes they stress me out.
Oh,
When they aren't ready on time for sightseeing. Well, yeah, I mean, you're already, by saying for sightseeing, I'm assuming you're already at the destination where you want to be. Now, imagine trying to get everyone ready and get them to the airport on time, right? So whenever you have to deal with family, it's always going to be a stressful situation because not everyone has the same time sensitive thing about them. Like, okay, I need to be at the airport at this time. Some people are like, oh, relax. We have a lot of time. Now you got to manage yourself, and then you got to manage everyone else who's not manageable, so that brings your stress level up, and they're just like, oh, don't worry about it. We're going to get there in time. That could be, yeah, that's not a good situation at all.
Yeah, in time is different from for everybody. For some people, in time is getting there early. Sometimes for people, in time is just in time to board.
Yeah. So everyone is on a different clock, and it's always the worst. Like there's a lot of times where friends go on vacation, and it's their first vacation they ever been on together, and then they realize how different they really are because this one wants to sleep in late because they're not an early person. Meanwhile, you're up at 6 o'clock getting ready to jump on a tour or whatever, and then you're all on different time sets. It's like it doesn't gel, and then it become confrontational, right? Because this one want to be out till 4 a.m. drinking, and then you have to be up in the next 2 hours because you guys all plan to do this excursion, but they're not responsible. And yeah, whenever you have to manage a lot of people, if they're not on the same time clock, that can be crazy. Deborah also said that happened to me going to Canada. My first flight was delayed, and I had to run through the entire Chicago airport to get to my gate. I made the flight, but my luggage missed the flight.
Oh, sorry to hear
That's
that.
odd because normally if your luggage is being put from one airplane to another, it doesn't depend on you because that happens seamlessly. So I would think she would miss the flight, but the luggage goes because the luggage is automatic. The luggage is like, okay, you're leaving from one city, you have a connecting flight here, and this is your destination. Once the luggage gets to the connecting flight, they just take it off the airplane, wheel it to the next airplane, and that goes. Whether you go or not, that luggage is going to be in your final destination.
But if you have like 20 minutes before flight, she might have enough time to run to the next gate.
Oh, she did say the first flight was delayed.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay, now it makes perfect sense. Okay, got it. I'm sorry, my fault on that. But yeah, oh wow, but that
Did you end up recovering your
getting your
luggage?
luggage,
Let us
yeah.
know.
West Coast says, when I was in Tulum in January, they were charging $50
What?
and more just to go to a couple of few miles to get to the beach or to the jungle rave. I was also being overcharged at the airport a lot from the restaurants.
That is crazy. I think Mexico is getting more and more
Worse.
outrageous with
Yes, I
their
agree. I
prices,
agree.
and they keep pushing and pushing,
Hmm.
and it's just ridiculous. And
Mexico prices are almost like US prices now.
yeah,
Don't get it twisted. Like you think, oh, I'm gonna go to Mexico, I'm gonna have a really cool vacation at a low cost. Yeah, think again. It's not that way anymore.
yeah, and the thing with Mexico with taxis also, they have taxi mafia. So they wanted to implement like Uber, right, the app base, but whoever drivers were actually signing up for it, they were badly beaten by other taxi drivers to in order to protest and not use that type of service.
That's inside information, by the way.
Yeah, and that's why you don't see the apps that you can use. And also sometimes taxi drivers tell you the price, but the price is per person instead of per ride.
Hmm.
And sometimes they would hold your luggage, not give you the luggage
Yeah,
back
it's a bad
until
situation.
you pay. So when we go to Mexico, we always take a bus, audio bus, from the airport to either Playa del Carmen or Tulum. It is very safe. It runs often, and
And it's a really
affordable.
super comfortable bus.
Exactly.
We did a video on that. It's called Audio Bus. It's
Dio.
yeah, ADO. And we've done a video on that. So we highly suggest if like you're solo traveling or even if you're in a group, take the bus. The bus travels frequently, so you don't have to wait.
Yeah.
You purchase your ticket inside the airport before you come out the terminal, and they'll tell you where to go. You just wait there. The bus pulls up. You get on, and you're done.
And this is also one of the reasons we don't like Tulum is they use the regular colectivo, like a common public transportation on the main avenue. But if you want to go beachside where all those popular beach clubs are, they charge you also one rate to go to the area, but they charge double for you to go back, and you kind of stuck there.
And they do that purposely because they know when you leaving that area, it's already late. So there's not a lot of options for you, you know? So you're like, yeah, we're going to charge you double going back, and you have no choice.
Yeah, and that area is really far.
Yeah, it's far.
Even from Aldea Zama, from the kind of like jungly state
resorts
area. So unless you stay in those beachfront resorts,
which
in the
they
prime
bang
location,
you over the head with.
Yeah, they charge $500 per night, $1,000, $4,000 per night.
At the end of the day, right? Tulum is like everyone knows Tulum, and I think, personally speaking, this is my personal take on it. Tulum is overrated. They build these massive hotels, and they're all made out of bamboo, and they're all Instagrammable. That's great, and that's fine. And if you want to experience that, it's fine too. But at the end of the day, you realize it's just like they just put these things all together, and what you pay for it is just astronomical for no reason. For no reason. And it just doesn't add up to what it is that they're charging.
It looks pretty, but it's again lacking amenities.
Yeah.
The service might not be the greatest, and they know that Tulum is such a popular hotspot for like mid-age people, wealthy people. And if you are not staying in that specific area, again, you're going to pay so much. And if you want to rent a bike or a car, again, the parking situation is very difficult there. You have to pay for parking. And if you are planning to drink and party, of course, you're not going to be driving back. So you would have to take a taxi regardless.
And a lot of times people go to Mexico and all these places and they're drinking. So they know you're under the influence of alcohol and you're just kind of like, oh, whatever. And you just pay whatever it is you have to pay. But even people who used to be hardcore Tuluminatis, Like they will tell you, if you speak to them, they'll be like, Tulum is not what it once was, even as far as the rates go, as far as the vibe. Everything is just so, it's like being in Las Vegas with a beach. Everything is just about the big show, right? And then because of that, you're going to get banged over the head. So anyone who, if that's your thing, that's awesome. And Tulum is there for you. But for a lot of people, it's just like, yeah, the vibe is not even cool anymore. Like I can't even be on the beach. For me to get on the beach, I have to pay a resort fee through your hotel for me to walk onto the beach.
Yeah.
Because it's all beach clubs. So now even in Tulum, you can't even go on the beach. There's only 2 locations that you can go and enter on the beach in Tulum and walk on the Tulum beach. If not, you have to pay an entrance fee through the beach club to access the beach.
Yeah.
Right away, that's horrible.
Which is anywhere from $100 to $200 US dollars per person.
Yeah, and of course that goes towards the food and the drinks. So
But
regardless, they're making money.
Not everything. 50% goes to your food and drinks.
Yeah. So yeah. So for us, Tulum is like, yeah, we're not doing that. West Coast also says when I was in Tulum, the restaurants I went to overcharged me and added a VAT tax fee when it was already included in the menu prices. Just another story again where you don't understand the rules, or they try to get over on you, and you're just kind of like, well, what are you gonna do? You're stuck in a situation where it's like, am I gonna make a scene and be like, nope, I ain't paying this, call the police? Chances not.
Yeah.
So you just pay and you chalk it up as a bad experience.
Police in the tourist area, they're all owned by mafia, so you're not going to win. And I've heard also a lot of stories. They add mandatory 18% service charge, and a lot of times the service is not even that great.
Yeah, it's not even that great.
And again, you are in Mexico when the tips are not mandatory, and they should be grateful usually for the locals, right?
Yeah.
They're grateful for even 10% tip, but when they add in the tourist area, 18% mandatory. Come on, you're not in the US.
Yeah. But once they find that market where they can bring those type of people in that don't really care, then they're like, okay, well, if you're not going to care, we're going to jack up the price on everything. We're going to rob you blind. And if you want to give us your money, so be it.
Yeah.
You know,
a Smooth Hassle is here on Instagram. He said Chi just left Secret Island Kuala side. That's
that's nice.
Haven't heard from you in a while, but keep seeing you're going to
Hawaii often.
Hawaii, yeah, all the time. Welcome.
Chico says the most stressful thing I have is having to sleep the day before cruising.
Oh yeah, that's actually
that's a good one. That's the one with a twist, because that happens to a lot of people, right? You're excited about your vacation.
Yeah. And I'm also always afraid to oversleep it, especially when we have to fly in the morning.
Yeah, so that's definitely a good one. You're excited, you can't sleep, and you end up kind of going off and on throughout the night, and then you have a full day of travel. You know, and then you're kind of bummed out when you get to where you need to go to.
Or what stresses me out personally is when I'm packing the night before and the van is like, I'll pack in the morning. And
yeah, I'm a last minute packer.
And next thing you know, I forgot half of my stuff.
Deborah says, that's the reason I don't travel with my sisters. I have 4 and none of them have time management. I'm an early bird.
Oh.
Yep. Forever Summer in the building.
Hi, Chris and Martha.
Deborah says, yes, they did bring the luggage the next day. That's good.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Kelly's here. You're in Hawaii right now.
Yeah. Oh, she says, waiting for the bus to pick us up for an excursion. It stressed me out. I worry that they will forget us and somehow we will miss, even though
I have the same thing.
Yeah, I don't really have that one, because I'm like, well, if I pay for an excursion, the worst is I didn't get to do the excursion, but I'm going to get my money back.
Not really, because if you're in the wrong location, they'll be like, we went for you, you weren't there, and you'll be like, but I was there, but it happened to
you know what's funny location. In Hawaii, I think that's an actual thing, because there's no really definitive place. They'll tell you, oh, meet outside the hotel. And you're like, okay, wait, the hotel has 2 entrances. There's a back entrance and there's a front entrance. Which one you need me to be in and where? Because these hotels are massive. And you're like, outside the hotel, where? Like, they have courtyards that are massive and traffic is going through it, but where in the courtyard, you know? So I could kind of see that.
Yeah, for me, it's also making when we travel by a bus
Hmm.
or a train, make sure we are at the right bus or train station at the right track.
Yeah.
That also stresses me out.
But again, what can really alleviate all of this is time management. Give yourself enough time for things that you didn't expect to happen, and you'll never really get in really bad situations. When we started traveling, we got ourselves in a couple pinch where we're kind of maybe running through a terminal or running to get to some type of transportation because, you know, we didn't manage our time well. But we've learned, and we're like, we don't need that stress. We're already going, you know, to a place where we're gonna have fun and we're expecting to have a really good time. Like, why bring that stress on? All we need to do is get up 1 hour earlier, or, you know, get to a place, you know, a couple hours earlier, so we don't ever have to deal with the stress. And if anything goes sideways, we're good with time. We never have to worry. So now that we get to the airport, you know, 2 3 hours before, because now we always usually go to an airport lounge if they have it, we're good. Like, we never have to worry about any one of those things.
And having we have what is it? Pass priority pass.
Mm-hmm.
Priority lounge pass. It's been so helpful. There are quite a few times we flew even in America when the airport doesn't have a priority pass at your terminal specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But here in Asia, pretty much every terminal has even several lounges to choose from. So it's
Mm-hmm.
been really cool.
Kombucha in the building. She
Hey,
say,
welcome.
welcome. Yeah, she says, honestly, for me, flying stresses me out. I have really bad flight anxiety. Yeah, you and a lot of other people. How do you cope with it? That's what I want to know. Like, what's the solution? Do you like maybe take something to kind of relax you, or maybe, you know, Patron, a little shot before the flight? A lot of people do that. A lot of people, when you see them in bars in airports, it's not just because they're like, oh, I want to go to a bar. They're like, yeah, I need a drink to relax me, because if not, I'm gonna be all, you know, wound up tight. Kombucha also says, that's interesting. You have to pay the beach club to go on the beach. No thanks. Yep,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
thing. That's a thing in Tulum.
Yeah. Well, if you again don't want to pay to go to the beach, it's you just can't enter. You have to walk like sometimes 40 minutes to find the entrance. And the same thing comes for exit because all the beach clubs are gated from the beach side. So if you want to just exit and go on the main road and maybe take a taxi, you can't. And we did on our second channel, the walking tour channel that we have, we did a walking tour on Tulum Beach, and you can see how the entire beachfront is just gated.
Yeah, and you can't really get through. Chris says 16 days and a wake up to get over the stress.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, I think I went through. We have any questions or anything on
No.
Instagram? People just tuning in. Okay, cool. I think yeah, I think we covered everything we needed to on here. Kombucha says edibles help with anxiety, but if I'm flying internationally, then I go to my doctor and get a prescription. I also listen to a couple of audiobooks on the flight, anxiety, and it helps. So
You
this
have
is
to
funny.
be very
Yes,
careful with
yes. I
those.
knew you were going to say that. Okay, so with the edibles, we're going to touch on. Irene is going to tell you the story on what we just found out. Check this out.
Well, I was scrolling through TikTok recently and I came across this video. It was a story. Then a guy traveled from the US to Dubai. On his trip, he had pancreatitis
Mhm.
and he had to go to a hospital. They did a urine test.
This is in Dubai.
This was
Right?
in Dubai.
Mhm.
In the urine test, they found traces of weed that he smoked 2 weeks before his trip in California, where it was perfectly legal. And in Dubai, there was a law that even if they find traces of drugs in your system, that means you carry it, that means you possess it. And they, from the hospital, they took him out in his hospital gown. They detained him, did not say anything, took his passport. He was stuck in the country for 2 months, spent over 50 US thousand dollars on legal fees, on accommodations, because they were holding his passport. But after this situation, eventually he was released. After that situation, they laxed the law a little bit. But again, even if you have the prescription, different countries have such different rules, and they just wouldn't care.
So just hope you don't get pancreatitis. But yeah, that's like, how would you ever know that? And regardless where you took it, it's legal. Yes, it's in your system and it takes time to come out your system, but like what are the odds of that? That's bad. Yeah, but just something to be aware of and something to know, right? Because the more you know. So yeah.
Or back in the days, actually in Thailand, they were really against drugs, and the way they were doing it is, even if you do drugs, like even weed, or if you carry or if you buy, there's like jail time. It was very strict. But now you can
it's
see
legal.
weed shop everywhere. But what they used to do back in the days, and that was 13 years ago when I was visiting, I've heard scam stories that they would pretend to sell you weed, then take you down to put you in jail and try to extort fine from you, so you don't go to jail. So yeah,
these countries, you gotta do your research. No, like, try to find out as much as you can before going to where you got to go to. And I know that's not the mindset we all have. Like, when we think, okay, I've been saving up all year for this vacation, or I get this one vacation a year or two vacation a year if you're lucky, like, it's going to be awesome, it's going to be the best, I'm going to the place I always wanted to go to. You're not thinking about all the stresses that come with it. You're just going through the motion. But when you get into it, then you're like, holy crap, like, what is this? So, I guess our best advice is, try to, everything that you're going to need to do, kind of really do research. It only takes, a couple hours to kind of go in and figure these things out.
That's what Kim just says. I have to read up on the rules, but again, sometimes you just would not
you don't think of it. That would be the furthest thing from your mind. Like, who does that, right? Like, that can happen to anybody. Like, literally, like, you took it when you were in your hometown and it's perfectly legal. And that's probably what you would tell them. Yo, I took this, a week ago or whatever, and back in my place, it's legal. Like, it's everywhere. Different law. You're in a totally different country. Doesn't fly.
Yeah. And next thing you know, you have to get a lawyer and
Doesn't
try to get yourself out of that situation. Yeah.
So it's really bad. So we are an hour and 30 minutes in. Wow, we went over by 30 minutes.
Wow.
Normally our live streams are about an hour, but yeah, this is a good one. Again, if if you're joining, or if you're seeing this on replay, if you have something or want to chime in the description, leave a comment. Let us know, like, what are your travel stresses? What stresses you out, or what situation you got into? I'm sure you all have interesting stories, right?
And what would be your solution? So, wow, yes to Hawaii with Miriam.
Oh, she's here.
Good
to see you.
Wow, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Watching your Instagram and your travels.
Really
and
nice
Hawaii advice.
Yeah. So, awesome. So yeah, definitely. At the end of the day, do your research, because you never know when you're going on that dream vacation. You're not thinking about all that stuff, but you literally have to go through it and take the time, because you took the time to plan it, right? You probably took a long time to plan it. So more than likely, take the same amount of time and putting into kind of learning about where you're going. That's the major part. And I think that goes back to when going to Hawaii, that a lot of people are like, oh, in Hawaii, the locals don't like the tourists and all that. Well, I think in general, if we all took the time and did a little bit of research on where we're going, it helps to understand the culture, because certain things we're used to doing where we're from, they don't do that. So when you do that there, you could be doing it totally harmless, but then you realize, oh crap, like why is everyone looking at me that way or whatever? And it's like, yeah, because you did something that you weren't supposed to do. We don't do that here. So if you took the time to do your research, it would really help.
Savory Exposure says, just be out with us and live the globe.
Yes, and living the globe. Yes. Awesome. Okay, I think that's it. I think we covered it all. Thank you guys so much again. This is what, our third live stream in a row or fourth?
No.
I think our third or our fourth live stream in a row. We're trying to make this kind of every week. We do it at least once on Saturday for you guys. So it's now Sunday morning for us here in Thailand. But yeah, we find that this is a good time where most people kind of come in and join. So I guess we'll see you guys back here again in next Saturday. And also, if you guys want us to do a live as we're walking around, let us know. Remember, we used to do that in Hawaii. The only thing, obviously, with that, we have no control over the Wi-Fi. I mean, over the internet. So if it goes down, then it causes a little bit of issue and it might not be as clear. But if you guys would like us to walk around and show you around live, we can make that happen. Yep. Irina just has to wake up a little bit earlier.
Well, I'm also fasting, and this is my second day drinking just water. I have no energy, and I'm still tired and sleepy. But yeah.
Okay, so we noticed the last video we put out on the mall. It's doing really well, and a lot of people are like, oh, we haven't seen like your long form videos in a while. So we actually, the next video coming out, I think tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. The next video coming out will be what's the name of the mall? MBK Mall here in Bangkok. And that mall is if you thought Icon CM was a really cool mall, wait till you see MBK. MBK is a totally different beast. I don't want to give it all away, but we are going to be publishing that tomorrow. And it's a walking tour. So we're just going to be walking around the mall. We're going to be showing you a lot of things. I suggest women
get your dinner, get popcorn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sit back and relax.
And relax and enjoy it, because yeah, it's going to be a good one. So that video comes out tomorrow. So make sure you check that out. And again, thank you guys for those of you who commented on the post I did in the community about us putting together our media kit and giving us your testimonial on any of the bookings that you had might have made through us. You saw our video and you're like, oh, I have to go to that spot, and you had a really great experience. If you could leave a comment, that will help, because we are restructuring our media kit and we're kind of putting in a testimonial section. So, that's also really great if we can have that. And we thank you guys who has already done that. Yesterday, Hawaii says traveling to Thailand plus Bali this year. Can't wait to check it out.
When do you come in? Let us know.
Let us know, because we're actually going to. Well, after we leave Thailand, we're going to the Philippines. Then we're going to be in the Maldives, and then we're heading to Bali. So we'll probably get in Bali, June, maybe. At some point in June, we'll be in Bali. So if you're around there at that time, definitely let us know. We'll link with you. It'd be awesome. So thank you guys so much again for joining us for this. We know you're taking your time out your day to join us, and we definitely will, and we do appreciate you. So,
and thank you for sharing all your travel stresses and possible solutions.
Yes. So we will see you next Saturday. Bye.
Bye.